हरि ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नारायणसमारम्भाम् आचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नाहं कर्ता हरिकर्ता तत्पूजाकर्मचार्य यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तत्कृतं शम्भो रामाराधनम्। ओम नमो भगवते शिवानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते चिदानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते कृष्णानंदाय। Very happy to have Darshana for divine aspirants in the morning again, and we have been discussing various samvads, dialogues which are appearing in different scriptures with a view to catch the essence, to catch the quintessence, the central message which is hidden behind the dialogues. Sometimes what happens, we take illustration as the main thing and the main message is forgotten. So the goal should be, illustration should be taken as a support and the essence should be picked. Normally in life what happens, we pick up the examples and then the essence is lost. That shouldn't happen. But then example at the same time is the best way to understand an abstract concept, which cannot be easily understood. And here we are talking about Amrutatva, knowing the reality of the self, knowing the supreme reality, and that is something which cannot happen in a very normal way. That is how this 8 of different examples is there. We saw in the last class about the Amrutatva, the keen desire of Maitreyi, and then Yajnavalkya Rishi, the great sage and seer, imparted very good knowledge of life. Today, another such dialogue we'll try to see, and that's very, very common. Nobody would say that they have not heard about that dialogue, That's the most inspiring, most expressive, most illustrative, and that is about Yam and Nachiketa from Kath Upanishad. Who doesn't know this dialogue? Even people from different countries, even people from different religions also, they have shown great interest, and aptitude about learning from this particular dialogue. And that is something which really is a key to Amrutatva. And as you will see, as you go further, when you ask for 3 different boons, they have got different dimensions of progress in life, and that is the way we should look at it. Before we go to that, we can have a little quick background about this Kath Upanishad, so that at least we are able to properly lay down the dialogue. As you all know, this dialogue appears in Kath Upanishad, and Kath Upanishad is a part of which Vedas? Any idea? Krishna Yajurveda. It's a part of Krishna Yajurveda. Now, in that Krishna Yajurveda, there is a Taittiriya Brahman. The different Brahmans are there, right? So from that Taittiriya Brahman, this particular illustration is taken in a slightly modified way. The story of Yam and Nachiketa is also appearing in that particular Taittiriya Brahman. It's also appearing in Kath Upanishad. But the goal in Taittiriya Brahman is that you offer some kind of a sacrifice. You offer some kind of a sacrifice, some kind of a yajna. And then you are expected to obtain liberation from the cycles of birth and death. Whereas in Kath Upanishad, there is no sacrifice prescribed. There is no yajna prescribed. It is all about knowledge. It's all about knowledge. Knowledge of death as we understand, the knowledge of immortality as we understand, and that is the beauty of Kath Upanishad. I don't exactly remember, but Swami Vivekananda had a great, I would say, admiration for this particular thing, and somewhere he has quoted that, that if 1 or 2 Nachiketas are there, he will be able to transform the course of world, something like that. I don't exactly remember that, I could not see yesterday, but then he had a great admiration showered for this, and he said, just 1 Nachiketa, that fiery inclination, form dissolved That's what he said. That was the faith which he had in this particular narration. So that's all about that little background of this Kath Upanishad. And it appears in 2 chapters or 2 adhyaya. I think you are also studying Kath Upanishad, if I am not mistaken, correct? So I will not go much into that part, but just will quickly come to the dialogue part. So there are 2 chapters, which are called as the 2 adhyaya. And each adhyaya has got 3 vallis, they call 3 level and a valli. So valli is a kind of a branch chapter, like, So 2, 3 are 6 vallis are there. And the dialogue of this Yam Nachiketa appears in the chapter 1. Valli 1 and valli 2. So valli 1 is about the first 2 boons which he asked. And valli 3 is about the third boon, Anatmagyan, which he asked like that. That's a little background of the whole subject. Now how the whole thing started? Here, before we say anything, we can pay tributes and we can pay salutations to Yam. And he is Dharmaraja and he is the son of Vivaswan or Surya. See, normally we have got a very different concept about Yama. So even in the normal Aarti also which we sing, like that we say. So we have got a very different or very fearsome concept of Yama. Dharmaraja is there and he is the one who is giving us the essence of what the death is, what the immortal is. You can't have any better guru like that. So we should, normally we are conditioned to say like that. And in Bhakti Marg we pray like that. That's a different thing, And there the only purpose is when you say that you are sick, relief from him, because you feel that you have got some wrong actions and some papa sins and you seek relief like that. But otherwise, he is also the son of sun and he is a great teacher on immortality here. So that is how we should look, and we should pay our tributes and our pranams to Dharmaraja, that may enable us to understand a bit, what he said in terms of that. Maybe be able to understand a drop of the ocean which he showed. That is the wish and that is the prayer that we have to Lord Yama. There was a sage called Gautama who was the son of Vajasthira. And he performed one yajna. You know what is that yajna? Vishwajit yajna. When that Vishwajit yajna, whatever possessions that you have, everything is offered. Just like an ideal sannyasi, everything that you have you offer. And you expect, that you will attain some higher loka. There might be some Sagun Bhakti also. You can attain higher loka and indirectly becoming mukti like that. So that was the wish of that Gautama Rishi. And he had a very bright, very illustrious, very aspiring son called Nachiketa. I don't know, he was 6, 7 years old, a boy, very small age he had at that time when the yajna was performed. And when the yajna is performed, what happens, that at the end of the yajna, this gifts or dakshina is imparted to all the Brahmins and these Ritviks who are performing that, And maybe that at that particular time the Rishi might have some little kind of inner greed which he might have thought there may something be reserved for something like that, So in the whole process, when he was giving dakshina, he did not give the taste of cows which he had, And that is the human tendency of it, Even when they give something to somebody also, will not normally give new clothes, We just try to say torn clothes. You will say it's as good as new clothes, but it's not new clothes like that. But that's a human tendency. So like that he just gave cows which were old, which were unable to drink, unable to eat properly, unable to give milk properly, not able to breed obviously, and those cows he was just giving in the dakshina to Greeks and the Brahmins. And Nachiketa was a very young boy. He thought that my father is erring. It's not only that the father, is just cultivating and molding the child. It's both way traffic. Even in school also, when you're teaching, or right now also, it is not one way. It's both way communication taking place, One can learn from each other. Even by looking at your face also, I can learn that, So that's what happened in that case also. And, young child saw that my father is doing this, and if he does this way, probably the purpose of the yajna will not be served and you will not attain the fruit. And the yajna is sakam yajna. You are doing it with some expectation of fruits. This sakam, karma, sabod, brahma prapti to get. So that he will not get. So he thought that I am a son. I am also a possession of my father. And maybe he can give me to somebody also. Like that he thought. I am also his possession as a son. Father thinks that. You should not think now. A parent should think, they are trustee of the children. Normally parents have got that sentimental feeling. And they think the children belong to them, they should listen to them, they should do as they direct like that, So, Nachiketa said that to whom thou shalt give me? Like that, And then, the Gautama, he was strange what he is speaking. He repeated that question, To whom thou shalt give to me? What I don't remember like that. To whom shall I shall give it? And again he felt upset, And third time he asked. And you know that something which is not pleasant to you, if it is spoken second time, most of the people 102 degree temperature will take place, you will not be able to bear it. So third time, so father was outraged. And to Yama, or to that death, I give it to that, to death I give it to you. And then Nachiketa was surprised. He said that there are many qualities, many attributes among young where I am probably the top. There are many attributes, many qualities where I rank in the middle. But there is nothing which I have done whereby, my father should have become so angry with me and he should have offered me to Yama like that. And out of complete anguish, and sometimes in anger also, we do things which are inordinately wrong, fundamentally wrong, And in that spot of moment, and you should be able to retrieve that. That's what, maybe here it was for a greater cause. It was a nimitta, But in life also, whenever in this outburst of anger, anything wrong, anything fundamental, because we lose the viveka at that time. That's how something not right will happen. And they said to death, I give thee. And then he thought like that. But he thought it's my father's word. So I should keep up that, but just like Lord Rama also, that his word should not go wrong. And that is how, he accepts the whole fate. And ultimately, he just proceeds there. That's the whole story. But before I go further on that, just one more thing I want to add here, so that the whole link will become more established before we come to the story back. Here, Swami Shivananda's Maharaj book is there on that Upanishads for busy people and Upanishad. I just went through that book just to gain some quick tips. And there is mentioned, that just to be able to understand the soul, which is our main Swarupa, a very good analogy is given here. Very good analogy is given. I think most of you must have heard about that. So what's the comparison? That this body is like a chariot. This body is like a chariot, or the earth. So that is what we carry, and that is what we think we have. Then who is the master? Who is the Swami of this body? The soul, or the Atma. That is ourself, and that is the Swami, that's the Lord. And it is to that Swami, to that Lord, we have to cognize. Now what are the other elements? You have got this chariot in terms of body, then you have got the soul and the Atma sitting as the Lord, and then you have a rider called what you call Sarathi. So who is the Sarathi? Mind. Something higher than mind, we have to say. Intellect, we have to say. Because mind and intellect, man and buddhi both are part of Antarakarana, but they perform different functions. So they are actually different names. So always, that mind has to be under the control of intellect. Only then mind will be on the right track. So intellect, mind it has to be refined, but ultimately it is intellect which has got the discrimination power. And it is the intellect which Chidananda Swamiji Maharaj used to say very nicely in one lecture, that it is the intellect which differentiates human being from the lower species, but does not necessarily prove his superiority. So beautifully he said in some lecture, that because of the intellect you can prove superior, but just because of the intellect you don't necessarily, obviously become superior. You have to exercise the intellect. So beautifully said, the intellect differentiates but does not necessarily prove its superiority, but then does prove superiority if the intellect is used properly. And most of the time we analyze, even the previous version also we said, that do we use our body, mind, intellect faculty in the right way? Most of the time our intellect is used in ordinary things which are not very beneficial, which are not conclusive goals of life. So that is the intellect, which is called as the rider or the sarthi. And then where is the mind? It's what called lagam, I don't Hindi whether called lagam also, right? So that is called as the mind. So just because the rider is there, is able to control that reins. So likewise, intellect should be able to control the mind. And then that intellect becomes a portal in the modern language, if we say, to attain to that antaryami who is residing within. Like that. So now comes the horses. So you have got the sword, master, then you have got the rider, sarthi, then you have got the reins. And then there are horses. So what are they? What are they? Obviously senses, correct? Because they have got the 5 senses of knowledge, 5 senses of action, and they are our tools. So they are the horses are there, and the horses have to be controlled by the mind. So all the senses have to be controlled by the mind. So manasashtan indriyani when they say, so along with the 5 indriyas, mind is always there. There is a very beautiful subject called triple withdrawal by atSivananda Swamiji, but I will not deviate today. If some other time is there, I will come to that point. So beautifully explain what was that, triple withdrawal. But that part I am leaving right now aside. And then horses are there, senses, where do they go? Senses go to the sense object, Sabda Sparsa Rupa Sagandha. So here, like roads, open, highways, expressways are there, correct? So like that they run on the express. Horses don't go on expressway, but the kind of open ways are there that they can go there. So they tend to go, This in Kath Upanishad also, Paranchi, Plani, one thing later on comes. The Indriyas God has made, they are bound to go outside. That is their very nature. Karmendriya, they are made of rajas basically, so they always tend to go outside. So, all the senses which are always going out, mind has got to cooperate, That is the first thing. And then even when the mind cooperates, higher function, intellect has to play a part, for the dissociation of the Vairagya. But this is the simile given. It is slightly different from what you see in Bhagavad Gita, where you see Arjuna as a Swami and Lord Krishna as Adi. There is a different meaning. Again, so let us not get to that. But you can interpret that also correctly, what exactly it means there, But that part right now. So this is example. Now here comes the goal of life in this Upanishad. They say that is realization of the self. All the great sages have said, all the great sages have intimately experienced that, And that is why when they say goal of life is self-realization, and when we say there is a difference, correct? We just say out of conviction, out of faith. But they say out of their own intimate intuition, experience. So here there is the approkshana buddhi. That is the goal, self-realization. Now this word approkshana buddhi, have you known normally what is meant by approkshana buddhi? Approkshana, what is the approx? You normally call pratyaksh. So that if I see you see, that is called pratyaksh. That is direct. It is cognized by senses. Paroksha is something which is not obvious to senses. Correct? If you talk about the heaven, if you talk about the hell, or if you talk about the different deities, we don't see them, but we have to believe if somebody has said that. Or about some place where we have not gone some place called paroksha. Correct? And what is aparoksha? Why not direct? Aparoksha means could have been pratyaksha. What is different than pratyaksha and aparoksha? Aparoksha is not paroksha, but then paroksha is pratyaksha. But then what have they called aparoksha?
Something which has become part of our knowledge.
Part of our knowledge. Okay. Anything? It's not very something, but what is there? If we just exactly get the right meaning, I also have been hearing different talks of great saints, and I pick up some essential points which are very fundamental to understanding. So, in one particular talk of Vedanta or Mahatma said that it's a very big word, but in very simple terms, what it means is you can know that particular subject without any means, praman. You don't need any eyes, you don't need any ears, you don't need mind, you don't need intellect. Normally, whenever you want to see something, you need some pramana, you need some instrument. Only then you reveal that, And here is something which is revealed by itself. Which is revealed by itself. In one of the talks of Swami Dayananda Maharaj, we also read Vedanta. He had made a beautiful explanation of this particular phenomenon. He said the knowledge of most objects in the world is revealed to the self. Is revealed to the self. Whereas knowledge of Atman is self-revealing. If you can catch the final essence, the beautiful meaning it is, that normally through the senses you get some impulses, mind interprets, and then you are able to get that knowledge. So all the objective knowledge of the world is obtained through senses with the coordination of the mind, intellect, and that is revealed to you. That knowledge is revealed to you through some instruments, through some tools. Whereas Atma Jnana, you don't require any tools. What happens spontaneously, by itself, without the means of any instrument, without the means of any tool, that is called as Uparoksha. So supposing we are there and everybody knows that I exist. Do we need any instrument? Do we need any proof to say that I exist, or I know that I exist, I exist but I know that I exist. Do we need any proof? It is self-evident. It is self-revealing. That is the meaning of Parakshanabhuti. It's a very good word, but then you can understand like that. When something reveals to us without any means, without anything, by itself, and that is actually the knowledge of Atman. All our efforts are preparatory. Even in this particular Upanishad also, there is yoga also is given importance. That with the help of yoga, we discipline the senses, we discipline the mind, discipline the intellect, and eventually, what happens? That knowledge is revealed by itself. So that, when the instrument becomes pure, the Atman reveals by itself fully. Right now it is revealed in a distorted way. That's what we call Chidavas. But when it is purified, it's revealed in the original. So some saint also used to give an example. That if you want to sleep, what do? You can't sleep in a deliberate way. That I want to sleep and it will not happen like that. You make a preparation for that. You just see that the whole thing is in, room is purple light, the light is put dim, you put the bed, whatever things are required you put. And then what happens? The sleep happens by itself, And if you want that I want to sleep, it will never come sleep, If you consciously want that I should sleep tomorrow, I have to go, that sleep will not come. So only when you don't think about sleep, sleep will come. So when the condition is right, sleep comes. Likewise, the instruments are right, then knowledge will come. But if you deliberately think that I do this and that some light should come to me, this should come to me, that will not happen. So in Prasamrita also we say that this particular knowledge of Atman is not pravachanena labhya, medhaya, bodha, shunena, something that by listening to many lectures, so the study doesn't come. And it comes to those whom that Atma chooses. And Atma is not partial, Brahman is not partial. It only means that whenever Antakarana is pure, then automatically it will be revealed. In Bhakti Marga also always say like that, that if you go to any place, Shinati or any, I have seen, the devotees always feel that you can get the darshan only if the Lord wishes. If He doesn't wish, you will not get darshan. That is the feeling. The same thing here is told in a different way, that the knowledge of the Atman will be revealed, only at the wish of Brahman means what? That we have purified our instrument. And then He is free, willing to express Himself, But it is we who are obstructing that. So once we do that, that will happen. And here, the goal of life they have explained. And as I said, na atma parvatan labhyo, na medhya, na bodha shutera. And then here there is the importance of sloka also. And that is the sixth only. This yoga also. So even though Upanishad talks about the supreme goal of life, this Parakshanabhuti, at the same time, there are two verses in sixth only. This mantra 10 and 11. It talks about the yoga, disciplining the mind, the senses, the intellect like that. And then the yoga ultimately leads to liberation and moksha like that. And in one case they say that in 11 mantra they say actually it is yoga, actually it is yoga, but that is called as a yoga. So what does it mean? That yoga is something, that anything supposing that is external to us, that is always to remain external. But normally what happens, even when you are meditating, immediately they will come back to us. So those things have to be given off. So actually that yoga is intended, that's called as yoga. There is a Sutta in Bhagavad Gita also, where the yoga is explained as yoga. So having got this little background clear, we again come back to that main story part. And we discuss about that the Yagna was there, and then he said that out of anguish to go to that Yama, about of Yama, Dharmaraja, and the child is very young. With all in the Pratham Valli, first Valli, right from mantra number 1 to mantra number 27 or 28, this Valli is there. And different mantras are there. They describe the whole instance, how it all happened. And then, when Lord Yama is not there, they say, and then he was offered everything, but he didn't accept. And some books I read also that even before he went there, some inner intuition occurred to him. In the introduction to the Photographia book is mentioned, everywhere I have not read that. Some little intuition happened to him as to when he goes, what will happen, what should do, something like that. But that is not mentioned in the Upanishad. Then he went, he goes there, and then for 3 days, that he just doesn't accept anything, and he waits for Lord Yama to come. And when Lord Yama comes, he feels, oh, that is so bright, so lustrous, so devout, young boy has come to my abode, and for 3 days he has not taken anything. And there is one versa also, they say that if a Brahmin, means any good human being, comes to your home, and if you don't feed or don't offer the thing what you require, all this satsanga, all these discourses, sacrifices, gifts, everything that you have done in life will come to naught. Will come to naught, will become as if you have not done. So that's a penalty, For not doing this, you get a very big penalty. For all that you earn, you lose. So just like that game, from 99 snake, you come down back like that 0. So something like that. That all good you have done, for one mistake you pay such a big price. That means it is important to do Patitya when we say. And then Yama, Dharmaraja, says to the child, oh, venerable guest, like that, And then I prostrate you like that, he says. If you read this story, and if you have done good virtues, I think we will have no fear of death. And one of the big objective of scriptures and knowing Adhyatma Shastra is that, we don't fear death. But most of the time, we fear death. That is because we have not understood the real import of death, But here, like that, he just praises to my child. And ultimately he says, he prostrates to him, and he says, may good befall me. Normally, we pray for good for others, may good befall you, like that we say. But here he says that may good befall me, that you accept my boons and relieve me from the obligations which I have undergone. So please be kind to me. Like that's what he says to a young child. And he says that you stayed for 3 days, so I grant you 3 boons, and please accept the boons, So here he is pleading him that you accept the boons, so that I am relieved from the wrongs which have unknowingly happened from my side. Like that. And Nachiketa is cool and composed. And what is the first boon he asks? About? The first thing he says, that may my father be peaceful, may he be kind, may he be free from any anxiety, and he is very intelligently saying again, he is a god of Yama. He says, I am sure you will place me back. He is also saying indirectly that place, that you will place me, I will be permitted to go back like that, So whenever you permit me to go there back, may receive me, know me, may greet me with love and affection. Like that. So that is what he says. So again he seeks indirectly that please send me back also. That's also indirect appeal. So what does it mean here? What is the main essence of this particular boon Vardhan? So this is that one should be very kind and one should be very loving and one with the family which are there. The first goal in life, charity begins at home, this year like that, correct? So if you are not good and loving, with your family members, then nothing else. And family doesn't mean only family at home. Even when we are working in a working place, then we have got a professional family. So we have to be good to all people around us. But if you are sitting here today, it's a spiritual family, where people are sitting together. So to all the members of family, you should be kind and considerate, sympathetic. That's the first thing in life. And if you don't do that, anything else you do outside good, that's not going to work. Charity begins at home. Foundation has to be laid, and the foundation has to be from the home itself. So that is the first boon which he asks, and very easily I am granted. There's no difficulty for him to do this, but he has all control power about everything. So he says, fine, that boon is granted. And then the second boon, then he said about that many people desire to go to heaven. Many people have the desire. And I know that there is something called fire sacrifice. Something called fire sacrifice. Agni Vidya. So if that particular Agni Vidya is there, in that case people can go to heaven. And once you go to heaven, there is no worries about, there is no old age. There is no hunger, there is no thirst. All kind of happiness is there. And you can lead a very, very long life. Just like a deities, who are able to lead a very long life till the end of the kalpa like that. So likewise you get a very long life. And that is what many people desire. I think particularly those people who are more spiritual and more inclined to Vedanta study, normally they don't aspire that kind of thing. I have never felt that kind of thing. But still, it can be there. And even if you are doing good spiritual work, some people outside, but they didn't even go to heaven. We don't go to heaven. Like that they will say. So their idea is that heaven is the ultimate goal. So people who are not even taking part, they will say like that. You will go to heaven, but we shall not be able to go to heaven like that. They say. That is considered the goal of life. And in many religions also, it is considered like that. So here he says that the fire sacrifice is, I know, it is the means for attaining to that heaven. And then all good things happen there. And why did he ask this? He did not accept anything later on. Even the best of wealth, the best of conditions offered to him, he rejected. Then what was the purpose of asking this? That teach me this fire, Agni Vidya, fire sacrifice. What must be the contention? What could be his wish? Why would he ask this? Immediately next time, then when he asks for the third boon, and Yavaraja is terrified by the third boon, he is asking, all sorts of pleasures of the world he wants to give, which is much beyond going to heaven. He says that any millions of years of life, where whatever you want, you please take, but don't ask for the third boon. So when he was completely not going to accept it, why did he say the second boon? This is because he meant welfare of the people. When you say this, you would do like, that after you are beyond your family, you should think nicety or good of the world. People, whatever people desire, don't go into merits of that, Even when somebody comes to you seeking some help, don't go into merits whether he needs or not. But he needs it to give it like that. That's what somebody used to say. Don't analyze at that point of time. So likewise, here also, most people desire that. So they should go to heaven, they should attain the higher loka, enjoy the life in peace, without youthfulness, no age problem, no long life is there. So many people desire. So he said that if I seek this particular vidya, which is also very difficult, the fire sacrifice, in that case, the benefit can go to so many people who are desiring that particular knowledge will get them, and if he knows that, he can impart that. So when he sought, these are all in not even geometric proportion. This is in logarithmic proportion. The way he asked you to understand that, normally it is not 1, 2, 3. It is like, this 1,000 million billion, that kind of a demand is there. It's all in geometric progression. Logarithmic proportion you can see. So this is what he asked for the Agni, this fire idea. That was because he thought that most people want it and will benefit, they will be happy about it. And there's nothing wrong for saying that. But only thing is that you have attained that goal, you enjoy, then you come back. So it has a limited purpose, limited happiness, which is not the ultimate goal. But still, this is what most people want in life. And when he sought this, you would understand that the next step is welfare of the family first, and then welfare of the society, larger society. So today also in the whole world we see all sorts of conflicts and violence. We feel very, very pitiable situation. We feel why this? What is the purpose? In human family is one. Why so much distinction? Why so much of differences? Why so much of quarrels is taking place? And society doesn't only mean our country. We can think of a global human family, and that is the ultimate import of this particular boon. And Yamraja was very happy again that just he taught him nicely, and the whole process described how many bricks are there, how they have to be arranged, and what way it is to be done. He was very smart boy. He learned everything very fast. And then Yama was very happy. He said, so fast he has learned. So he said that I am so happy with you that I want to grant you some bonus, because we are all used to getting bonus in life. That was that bonus, that Nachiketa name was associated with that particular fire. And anybody who will perform this fire sacrifice, Agni Vidya Nachiketa, Agni Vidya will be called, and those who perform 3 times, like father, mother, and teacher, and some other things are there. And ultimately, they are able to attain immortality, they say. Now here, immortality is in the relative sense, Swami says. Immortality doesn't mean immortality in the absolute sense, that you are able to get a very, very long life and happy life like that. In that sense, it's called immortality. Right? So even that way, our Antakarana, Man Buddhi is also sometimes called Akshara. Because, it is not that in the ultimate sense Akshara. But in the 15th chapter, when we study, that sometimes the Antakarana is also described as Akshara. Because it lasts for a very, very long time. This body goes away. But mind and intellect lasts till you get so many births. So the Antakarana and Maya is also called as Akshara. And the final stage is called Purushottama. That is in the 15th chapter, when we see Akshara and Purushottama. That's the distinction here. Right? So here is something like Akshara. They are able to go there, stay for a very, very long time and happy life. That is it. And this particular name was granted also. So, as I said initially, Yam was very happy with that iron will and fiery determination, and that is how this particular Vidya was imparted. He learned it, and the goal was that he would benefit the human society, mankind at large. And then comes the crux of the whole dialogue. And that appears in Valli 2 of the first chapter. So there are Valli 2. So this particular dialogue is that. All about the Atma Gyan. Already we have discussed something about it, but that's the whole thing. And then no, I don't necessarily think that will be other chapters also, because Upanishad will be long, but the 6 Vallis are there, but every Upanishad doesn't call Valli, different names are there. So, and some Upanishads are very elaborate, Chandogya, Vyaya, very elaborate. But this is also, even it's good, very good Upanishad, I want people to study this, even when you want to take a start initially, Upanishad and Upanishad, good Upanishad to start. That's what they say. Very easy to comprehend like that. And then comes, this actual teaching about that, And what happens here? That, he says what he did 6, that, that second boon is granted, and then he says, that third boon is asked, and then he says, that after this body dissolution or this physical death, some people say that, a man lives, some people say a man doesn't live. He just want to find out what is the state of the soul, after the death. What happens to soul after death? There's a very good book of Ashram16 also, by the way. So he asks what happens, whether a person stays or doesn't stay, the different kinds. So he just want to understand the secret of the death. And then, Yam was a little perturbed. And he said that this, and he said, no, this particular thing is a very, very difficult subject we are asking. Even the gods of the ancient times also had desired, and they have also not been able to follow this. So I please request you that you can seek for some other boon. Don't seek this particular boon. Even these deities of the previous times also, they ask, they have not been able to comprehend. And so please, it's a very subtle subject, very difficult to comprehend. So please ask some other boon. I request you to add some other boon. And the young boy is there. He says that if you say that even the deities of the primeval times also did not understand and they were seeking, that means it is a very important subject that they wanted to understand, they wanted to know, otherwise why they would be seeking that particular knowledge. And who else can be better than you, who are the Lord of Death, Yama, Dharmaraja. So there can be no better teacher than you, and I already gained you. So there is no reason why, I should not seek that. And all kinds of temptations, are offered to him. That you do this, that, and I don't know, long description is there. There are all kinds of pleasures of the world, ephemeral life, hundreds, thousands of years life. And it picks up the same thing, that whatever you are granting, see, ultimately, that's even though you get a long life, maybe 1,000 years, maybe 10,000 years, but it is still a small period in comparison to the infinite time that is there. Right? So that is also limited. And anything which is limited, anything which has come to an end, that's the ultimate goal. So That I said, they want something eternal existence, eternal happiness. Atyantik Sukh they want. That will not come from all these things because they are subject to decay. They are subject to disintegration. Maybe over a longer shelf life, as you call in the normal language, right? But then that's not eternal. So all these things it needs, and finally, this Yamaraja, this Yamaraja, he feels that he is the right qualified aspirant. So Adhikaritva is there, and only when that Adhikaritva is there, only then that particular knowledge is imparted. They say that even to so many people, this particular knowledge doesn't happen. They are not able to comprehend. Blessed are the ones who are able to comprehend this, and even when it is imparted, many people are not able to receive that. So he found that he is a very qualified aspirant and is fit to be granted this. So the best thing in the life which you can get, the best of thing which you can get, today we go human birth. And human birth is what? That is again for seeking that particular Atma. Maybe this Nachiketa got in some way, maybe we can get in some other way, But that is what happened to him. And once it can happen to such a young boy, we are elder to him at least in age, so he has spent more time. And if we sincerely contemplate, we can also get that. So now the first, then the second only of that first chapter, and that is all about the teachings of that particular Amrutattva, immortality, essence, he starts. And the first thing, as you know, is all about that prayers and shreyas. Okay? So they say that there are two things in life, they always come to an aspirant, what is prayers and what is shreyas. Now what is prayers? Prayers is what is pleasant. Pleasant to senses, pleasant to mind. Particular food, particular picture, particular idea, they are happy, we are happy with that. That is called as prayers. And another thing is shreyas. What is elevating? What is illuminating? And as I said yesterday also, there is no really good word for English. So it is called pleasant and good. But good is not good enough really to describe the word Shreya actually. Even I saw books, I did not find any other word which is better than good. So let us keep it as a good, but take the highest good, let us put it that way. If you cannot say that good either, let us put the highest good. So one is prayer and one is Shreya. And prayer is not necessarily bad. You understand that also, right? Because even in Vedanta, some other classes they teach, that any objects, anything also if you are there, if you are able to avail in a restricted way, without getting attached to it, without depending on it, then that is also not an obstacle. But the real prayer is not the objects per se, but the attachment that you play, that's the problem, And that is what creates the problem. Any object by itself is not the problem. They are all God's creation. But because of certain traits in the objects, and because of certain inner sanskaras which we have, that wrong interaction takes place, and in that case the objects become a cause of obstacle. Otherwise, per se, they are not objectionable. So that's called as a prayers. And then shreyas is something which is essentially good, essentially elevating, leading us to the ultimate goal of life. Now, very surprising actually, here they have mentioned, that a wise man will choose good, that's fine. But somewhere they mentioned both are causes of bondage. It's very contradictory kind of a thing. It is mentioned that both are causes of bondage. Because you have to do some act, even for getting a pleasant thing, or even when you exert for liberation. So from the story, and I thought it 9:20 is that it? 9. I just thought it 9:20, I'm going there. Anyway, we'll just take it tomorrow, whatever it means. We'll just quickly say something. I was thinking we have 10 more minutes, I was going very slowly. So in that case, they say that both, from the absolute transcendental point of view, both can be considered as a cause of bondage. And that is a little more technical subject to understand why even Shreya can become a cause of bondage. Just as Sattva becomes a cause of bondage, But that's a different subject. So I thought we would discuss on that, but let us keep it apart for the time being. So like that, both are there, and ultimately the wise man is one who is choosing. Nishriya is a definite Shreya. Nishriya is Nishchitya Purvak Shreya. That's called Nishriya, correct? But Shreya is something that we have to choose. Now, there are so many things that I have missed out, but maybe we'll take something. Having come to that, he just talks about what is Atma Tattva finally. In Atma Tattva, as I said, two ways, you describe some attributes of the Atman, and they describe what are not the attributes are. So neti like that one way, and you describe some attributes, both ways you describe, you know. So in that particular mantra, which is 12, it is mentioned Durdarshan, means ones which cannot be seen. Then Gud, which is hidden. Where is hidden? It is hidden in this body, mind, intellect complex within the cave of the heart that is hidden. Then Guhaitam, Gavyarestam, Puranam, like that, various words are there. So Atman is hard to see. It is hidden in the cave of the heart. Then it is concealed in a secret place. Hidden in the depth, it is Puran mentioned like that. And considering God through yoga, so ultimately described, ultimately taking help of yoga, as I said initially, what Swami Shani Maharaj finally concludes is, maybe there are some more verses which, so what's mantra I will take tomorrow. I just had slightly wrong assumption of time in my mind. But then ultimately Swamiji says, you know, that with the help of yoga, controlling the senses, controlling the mind, making the intellect purer, subtler, we make it ready so that approkshana buddhi or revelation of the self will happen by itself. And then they say that the mind which is purified, mind which is concentrated, has to meditate. Correct? And then they describe that there are three types of meditation. One is nirguna meditation, which is unconditional, absolute. One is saguna meditation, which is conditioned and relative. And one is pratika, that is one particular symbol or one particular ideal will be. These are the three means of that thing. And one more mantra is there here in that Kath Upanishad, which talks about the Om, the significance of Om, which is very much thoroughly explained in Mandukya Upanishad. So if there is a Om, is a kind of pratik or kind of a name for what we call the supreme reality. So Om depicts both Saguna Brahma as well as Nirguna Brahma. And that is why there is also the importance of that Omkar explained here. So that the first sound which came is called the Naga Brahma, and because of that all other words have come, and all other words have got some meaning also. So that everything has emerged basically from that supreme reality indicated by Om. And that sadhana of Om is something very vital. And again, one more place we say that, you know, if we contemplate on the Parabrahman with that Saguna Bhava, then we will be able to attain Saguna Loka. If we contemplate with Nirguna Bhava, then we can attain that Nirguna Brahman. So goal is that we should reach to the manifested Brahman, and we should know the unmanifested or the Nirguna Brahman. And there are still some more verses. So I think we have one more session. So before we talk about the other dialogue, I just another 5-10 minutes, I try to conclude exactly what was the quintessence of that third book. In other words, he taught the essence of Atma Tattva. He learned the Atma Tattva, the art of meditation, the art of reaching that. He practiced it, not just he learned it. And because he practiced what he learned, he attained liberation. He attained what is called self-realization, what is called Aparokshana, the God of life. So a young child example is there, and it inspires everybody that, you know, at whatever stage in life, in spiritual field, we are all children. We may be having any physical age, but in terms of spiritual subject, we are all children of God. You know. So we can take the essence, we can take inspiration from the fine instance, and also try to understand the import and practice Atma. May God and help us in the